This land is your land, this land is my land, from California to New York Island, from redwood forest to the ocean waters. This land was made for you and me.
Good morning and welcome to the 2019 Lincoln Trail Elementary Veterans Day Assembly. This is the one and only assembly that every one of our 500 students are able to put their hearts into something of this magnitude. From kindergarten to 5th grade, they have all had a role in the learning that takes place leading up to this day, and their messages and their sentiments and their songs. So we are so grateful to be able to have room for all of our students and our guests and some special visitors. It's a long-standing tradition at Lincoln Trail that we have Veterans Day Assembly each year, and although this may be the last year on this property, depending on timeline and weather, the tradition will carry over about a mile down the road next year. So without further ado, I would like to first thank Ms. Parrish and the Related Arts team for putting their heart and soul and all of the planning to make this such a special day. Let's give them a big hand. Ms. Parrish, Ms. McIntyre, Ms. Bland, Mr. Sweeney. And all of our teachers and staff. It really, there is a lot that goes into, like I said, the education for the students, the learning about service leading up to today, and the flexibility in everyone pitching in. So thank you to Lincoln Trail staff. And I would like to introduce to you a 2nd grade class, Miss Simpson's class, who will lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
This is the symbol for I means me. This is the symbol for pledge. Pledge means a promise. This is the symbol for allegiance. Allegiance means support. This is the symbol for flag. This is the symbol for the United States. This is the symbol for America. Many people coming together in a big melting pot. This is the symbol for republic. It means government. This is the symbol for which it stands. It means to represent. This is the symbol for one nation. This is the symbol for under. This is the symbol for God from heaven to earth. This is the symbol for indivisible. It means you cannot divide. This is the symbol for liberty. It means freedom. This is the symbol for justice. It means equality. This is the symbol for all.
Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Attention, salute, pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Oh, say, can you see? Broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight, o'er the ramparts we watched, were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof
have a veteran in your family? Father, mother, brother, aunt, uncle, or grandparents? I can proudly say that I have a father in the Army. That makes him a veteran. We are so thankful for all who have chosen to be in the military, allowing us to have all the freedoms we enjoy. They protect our nation and are on call 24/7.
Today is Veterans Day, when we show our appreciation to the people who served in a branch of the armed forces. It used to be called Armistice Day. It was on this day in 1918 that an armistice, or an agreement, was signed to end World War I.
Veterans are loyal, strong, brave, hardworking, and courageous patriots, but most of all, they sacrifice. That means they give up something for a greater purpose. I know this because my father had to leave me and my mother to go to war. He knew it was important to protect all our rights and freedom more than staying home with us.
Veterans put country before themselves and risk their lives to save us. They show bravery when they go into battle. Veterans help us all, and we are proud to be American citizens. Today, as we celebrate veterans, I hope you thank at least one veteran today for their service to our country.
Veterans have so many good qualities. One character trait that describes a veteran is courage. Veterans sacrifice their lives and lead their families to fight around the world. Veterans fight against terrorism and dictators in wars where soldiers lose their lives. Today, we honor those who gave the ultimate sacrifice, their lives, for each and every one of us.
Have you ever met a brave and strong soldier? My mom is one of the brave who serve this country. My mom works long hours, comes home to cook dinner and help me with my homework. Brave and strong soldiers come home and are kind and loving parents as well.
Have you ever wondered if you have what it takes to be a soldier? Soldiers are brave, selfless, and good leaders. My abuelo Javier, which is my grandfather, served in the military for 20 years. He was a tanker and a drill sergeant. There are many great people who serve this country, and I'm proud to say my abuelo is one of them.
Veterans have to be brave and dedicated. My mom is a veteran. She has both of those traits. She is brave because when she goes to basic training, she is never scared. She is dedicated because when another soldier needs help, she helps them until they get it right.
Veterans are courageous, strong, and loyal. There are several veterans in my family who have served in the Army and Air Force. Veterans are courageous and audacious when they choose to serve, knowing the risks and dangers. They are selfless because they leave their family and friends knowing that they might not come back.
Lincoln Trail Elementary appreciates all the veterans who have sacrificed for our great nation, the United States of America. Whether in peacetime or wartime, veterans, thank you for your service and thank you for joining us today.
Peace make way.
If you are a student and you currently have a deployed family member, please stand and remain standing. If you are a member of the United States Army, please stand. The United States Marine Corps, the United States Navy, the United States Air Force, and the United States Coast Guard. Let's give them all a round of applause. Please be seated. Today, I have the honor of introducing our guest speaker. We have known each other several years. I just didn't even know what to say about him. So I want to give a quick introduction. In 2005, he became an infantryman. In 2007, he was a recipient of a Purple Heart. People see us together and they ask, "Is that your son?" And I'm like, "No, he's a little more famous than that." So a lot of your students know who he is, and a lot of you may or may not know who he is. I met him in the most unlikely of places. I came back from deployment and I went to a CrossFit box, and those of you who know what that is, it's a great place to be, but a lot of hard work goes into it. I sat in my car and I thought, I cannot do this, but I have to do this, because he didn't even know the reasons why I pulled into that parking lot. My stepfather had fallen and broken his hip, and I had to become strong enough to be able to get him out of the nursing home and bring him home for one last holiday season. So I got out of the car and I walked into that box and I met this young man, and he was a coach. And I love the way he motivated people. He motivated people by not getting all up in your face, because I'm not an all in your face kind of person, and I didn't need that in my life. And I know many of you have met those kind of people. He motivated people to find their inner strength and to be strong and realize you're strong and you didn't even know it. So I went day after day, and I became a member of a crew of teachers who showed up at 4 o'clock, and he coached us and he got us through and helped us meet all of those goals. Well, little does he know, he left for a different type of stint in the desert, and my stepfather, I did reach those goals. My stepfather did come home, and he passed away while he was gone. And I never returned to that gym. I felt like I lost the person that motivated me. I'm a good motivational person, but I needed somebody to motivate me to be there. So while he was there, we communicated back and forth, and he tells me before he comes home that he had a goal. He had a goal to be on the Titan Games, NBC's The Titan Games. I said, if anybody can do it, it's him. So he tried out. He went there. He became a Titan. He returned home to E-Town, and now he's giving back to the community. He motivates your children, and I had him come to school within a week of returning from the Titan Games, and I put him on the floor in Miss Goodman's kindergarten class, and he just walked in, and he sat down with these young students, and they were feeling his arms, and they were like, I'm like, what are you doing? And they said, well, we want to feel your strength. So we were like, okay. And one little boy looks at him dead in the eye and says, forget that. Take your shirt off. I want to see your strength. We're like, oh, Lord, we can't take our shirt off. No, we can't do that. But he wanted to see his strength. And they had met the real-life superhero. And he sat there and he talked about what makes you who you are and how to set goals. Because at Lincoln Trail, we're goal setters. And he helped them set goals and taught them and talked to them about how to reach those goals in life. So without further ado, I would like to introduce E-Town's very own Titan, Christopher Watt.
Good morning. Can everybody hear me? No? Can everybody hear me now? Good? No, it's fine. I'm comfortable. I'm already set in my ways. No. First off, lovely woman. If you don't have her in your life, figure out a way to put her in it, because she's amazing. And she built me up. I'm about to just crumble all on the spot. But yeah, first off, let me say, awesome job to the kids on the singing and everything. I was in my zone. I was like, all right, I'm gonna give this speech. And then as soon as you come in, you get punched in the fields with the clap and everything else. And so that just tore me down. Like, my speech is gonna be all over the place, so just bear with me. As I look out here, I just wanna say Happy Veterans Day to all my veterans. I can see a lot of different stories, right, on our faces. So thank you for coming and listening to mine. I came from a military family because my dad served. We were stationed in Germany for like 15 years. No, not 15 years, because I was only 9 when we moved back. But he was over there longer. I was raised over there for the first part of my youth. Then I moved to Kentucky. Started out in Louisville, moved to Meade County, and ended up graduating in Radcliffe at North Hardin. After graduation, I took a year off, but I always knew the Army was going to be my route just because my dad was in. His dad served back when the Army and the Air Force used to be a thing before they broke off. And then my mom's dad also served, and he also was, he was a Marine first, and he went Air Force, I think. Because Marines, I think they had him run around a flagpole because he forgot to shave, so they told him to run around a flagpole with a dry shaver, a razor. They made him shave that day when he showed up to formation. But anyway, so it's just a long family history, right? Military is. So I've got a younger sister and I've got an older brother. One of us was just bound for that, you call it greatness, that journey, whatever. So it was me. I went in, served 3 years. When I showed up to Fort Riley after basic, it was when the Big Red One came from Germany and set their HQ down at Fort Riley. And if those of y'all that are in the Army only knows that there's only one big one, and that's the red one, right? So I served 3 years there. A year after being there, we built up this unit called 216 Infantry Division. And they used to be a thing a while back, and then they got disbanded. So they were bringing back the flag, or the guidon, if you will. And I was part of that organization. A year later, we deployed to Iraq. And that was during the good years when they just said, you know, this amount of time is not good enough, let's just extend you while you're over here, right? And so I stayed over there for 15 months, saw some things, experienced some things. Some made me better, some broke me down. but y'all know what I'm talking about. So I don't know what it was, but after the 3 years of coming back, different mindset, right? You're probably younger when you come back from your first deployment and whatnot. You go over there with a certain mindset, you come back with a different mindset. You either come back hardened, right? You take on the world, whatever, everybody owes you stuff, or you can come back and just shut down and whatnot and go that route, right? So I came back hey, the world owes me some kind of thing. I'm walking taller, this is my ground, I deserve it. But then life kind of changes. Life changed a little bit. I got out, went into the fitness industry, went into a global gym, didn't know too much about CrossFit at the time because CrossFit only started at 2007, or started coming public 2007. I got out in 2009. But I started my fitness journey, and it just started rolling from there. And that's when I went into CrossFit. Met Andrea. I met a lot of the wonderful staff here off of CrossFit. And so that's where I'm at now. And this is where I tell you where my story starts to crumble, because now we're going to backtrack to the Army. All right? Has nothing to do with it. I talk in circles. You just have to deal with it, all right? So maybe it does. Maybe you can tie it in. Yeah. Some people might get it. Some people might not. But anyways, Lisette gets it. I talk in circle all the time with her, right? So the Army, right, builds up certain things, teamwork and everything else, but I didn't understand it. That's what I should have said. I didn't understand the teamwork. I didn't understand the cohesionness. I didn't understand leadership and all that other stuff when I was in. So coming back and doing CrossFit, I was in a leadership position, right? Because you have to instruct people. But I didn't get any of that. And so it wasn't until the last 3 years I went overseas as a contractor. Because I don't know, some of y'all might have heard it from a different interview or so, but I was chasing a dragon, right? And the dragon is camaraderie. It's what we build while we're in whole school scenes, land of land. All right, cool. But anyways, so I chased that dragon, and I couldn't find it. It's not over there. So came back and opened up the gym that I have now. All right, it's not a plug, so don't listen to that part. I opened up the gym that I have now, and I wanted to start to do more than I did the first time I came back. And so that's why I find myself more out in the community trying to do things, working with this great school on a couple of things. And everything is geared towards the kids because, I don't know, I just felt like the guidance wasn't there at the beginning, right? So, and some of y'all might be able to relate because now if you've gotten out any recently or whatnot, they have the ACAP program, or the ones that are still in, you're aware of the ACAP program that helps you with that transition. I think they were starting to put that together. I was getting out, but it was more of like just trying to rush you out the door if you're not going to stay in type of deal. And so it's stuff that I just found on my own over the last couple of years, like I said. So I wanted to come back and give out more. And there's just more to giving back to the kids than sometimes with the adults because we're just set in our ways. A lot of us are. And it takes longer to break down those walls and try to help rebuild that foundation for adults, whereas kids, if they have proper instruction, you guys know that they'll just be a better human when they're older. And so that's where I find myself doing now. And I'm trying to tie it back to when I was in the military and whatnot. And I look at old leadership that I've had, and I've had some horrible leadership, and I know y'all have too. The leadership that I had when I first went in killed the vibe for basically the whole platoon. After all our 3 years were up, we all got out, right? So another backtrack segment. I joined because I wanted to go SF, all right? They told me to go infantry, go through Ranger, then go to SF because it would be easier. So I did that. But the leadership we had initially, like I said, just killed the vibe because he would bring his work home or he'd bring his home to work. And he couldn't separate the two. And so we had to feel that wrath with whatever was going on in the home life, and I'm sure that it was vice versa. So he kept us long hours, more than he needed to, and so like I said, we all got out. But for a brief second, I had amazing leadership. I don't know. You can only take so much for a short time, but anyways, yeah. So this is my story. It's as crazy as it sounds in my head, but worse. I'm trying to scramble it all together to make sense. I know some of y'all get it. Some of y'all don't, and I appreciate you for just sitting there and taking it. Like I said, I tried to come in here with strong head. It's just the performances and stuff started, getting a little overwhelming, especially. You're doing great. All right, when we're when we're little small tights, right? We say the Pledge of Allegiance all the time, right? No effect. Whether we have ties to the military or not. But afterwards, man, it kills you. All right, you handle that. Mm-hmm.
Let's give him a
Thank you.
It's tough to be out here. It is, and all your faces are looking at us for all the right answers in the world. And we don't all have them, and I wanted you to see that he's just like us. He motivates people, and if maybe he reached one person today, then we've done our job here. And now I have one more person who would like to speak, and it's Michael Harris.
This was not on the program, and they don't know anything about it, so don't hold them responsible for it, okay? This is the second program I've been to today. I went to East Hardin to their program, and I got teary-eyed there, and I'm teary-eyed here. I think I can speak for the veterans out here and say, this is wonderful, okay? Give them some applause, guys. Thank you for what you do. I sat next to a veteran this morning, and he said to me, well, this is nice, isn't it? He said, I'm from the Northeast. We don't get this kind of attention or this kind of admiration in the Northeast. He said, we need to understand and be thankful for what we have here, because it's not true everywhere. I know a lot of these guys out here, when you came back from the Vietnam War, they didn't thank you. They had a different attitude towards you. Today, we're seeing children that are being raised the way they should be, and they're being taught the right things. And I thank you, teachers, and I thank you, administrators, for doing what you're doing. Thank you.
That was, whew, got us going. I know everyone feels the emotion in the room right now. That's students, teachers, staff, our veterans. We feel the emotion, and you got to feel that love too. And that is such a positive energy that we have together. It does conclude our performance with our students, but we would like to invite our veterans for a little extended social time in our cafeteria where we have the cards that the students have made for each and every one of you.
This land is your land.